Good morning, folks. My name is Hitzemann, County Court Judge here in Hernando County. You folks are here for your first appearance. The purpose of the first appearance is so that you may be informed of the charges against you. I'll determine if there's probable cause for those charges. Probable cause simply means that it's more likely than not that a crime has occurred, and more likely than not that you're the person that committed the crime. Of course, as you stand before me today, I presume that you're innocent. That presumption of innocence stays with you through every stage of the proceedings unless and until the state attorney's office can prove the allegations against you beyond and to the exclusion of a reasonable doubt. We'll set your conditions of pretrial release, that is your bail or your bond. In most cases, you've got a bond set already pursuant to the bond schedule here in the 5th Judicial Circuit, or the warrant which led to your arrest. We'll determine if that bond should be raised or lowered or left the same, or whether there'll be additional conditions of pretrial release placed upon you. We'll let you know when your next court date will be. If you'd like to have the services of the public defender, I'll gladly appoint the PD to represent you this morning. You do have a right to have contact with folks on the outside, family, friends, counsel. If you haven't had a chance to make that call, please let me know. We'll make sure that that happens. Finally, and most importantly, you're advised that you do have an absolute right to remain silent with regard to the facts which surround your arrest. I encourage you to do that. These proceedings are recorded. In addition, there is an assistant state attorney in the courtroom with me. If you say something that tends to incriminate you, they will use it against you in the prosecution down the road. I now need each and every one of you there at the jail to raise your right hands and be sworn. You all solemnly swear, affirm, tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth. Outstanding. When I call your name, please step forward to the podium. Susan Hote. Morning, Susan. What's your date of birth?
6/11/61, sir.
All right, Susan, there's two charges this morning, driving under the influence and driving under the influence with property damage. As to those charges, you want to represent yourself, you want to hire private counsel, would you like the public defender?
Now, public defender, please.
I'll appoint the PD. State what you tell me.
No criminal history, Your Honor.
All right. And Susan, I have an address for you on Portillo Road in Spring Hill. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been there?
I've been there almost 2 years.
Do you have a job these days?
Pardon me?
Do you have a job?
No, sir. I'm disabled.
Okay. As to count one, I'll set your bond at $500. As to count two at ROR. So your total is $500. I'll have you back in court on the 1st of November. Susan, very important that you go see the public defender after you get out, all right?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Kaylee Wilson. Morning, Miss Wilson. What's your date of birth?
5/11/01.
Kaylee, you're here on a warrant that was signed by Judge Merritt. He found probable cause for one count of principal to a robbery. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll appoint the PD. State.
Your Honor, all of the history is juvenile, but it includes prior burglary and prior TA and possession of paraphernalia.
All right. And Kaylee, I have an address for you on Good Hope Lane. Is that where you're living?
Yes, sir.
Were you still in school?
My mom just enrolled me. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll set your bond at $10,000. We'll have you back in court on the 31st of October. If you get out, you need to go see the public defender right away, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. John Ayan. Morning, John. What's your date of birth?
5/8/78.
All right, John, I got another number of charges here. Excuse me. I have criminal use of personal identification and defrauding a pawnbroker. It looks like we have 4 of each of those. There's probable cause for those charges. As to those charges, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Sir, I'd like the public defender, but I just come in the other day and this is the add-on charge. I was going to see if I can get it the same public defender and put on the 23rd of this month with the other charges I got. They're all the same, of course, the same charges.
Yep, we're going to do that. All right, so state what else can you tell me?
Your Honor, there's out-of-state history includes a 2011 breaking and entering in an FTE. In 2016, there's a trespass to a conveyance. As far as Florida goes, looks like there was a controlled substance charge, but I don't have a disposition on that.
All right. So, John, what we'll do is I'll set the bond at $1,000 on each of the 8 charges. It's a total of $8,000. We'll add them to your arraignment date for the 23rd of October. So I'll move them all to the 23rd of October, which should mean that you get the same lawyer on the same court date. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Timothy Connor. Morning, sir. What's your date of birth?
October 15th, 1970.
Tim, I've got 3 charges this morning: grand theft auto, possession of firearm by a felon, and a grand theft. There's probable cause for those charges. As to those charges, you want to represent yourself, you want to hire private counsel,
What's the probable cause for the gun charge?
or would you like to represent yourself? You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
I'll hire a private counsel, but I want to know what the probable cause is.
I'm not going to have a discussion with you about the law, and you should be quiet and only answer the questions I ask. Is that clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. State, what can you tell me?
There is multiple pending felony cases, I think including some VOPs. There's a guilty for theft in 2017, guilty of possession of controlled substance, and it looks like there's a failure to appear in 2017, and grand theft in 2016, and guilty for grand theft again in 2015, and guilty for possession of controlled substance in 2015.
All right. And Christy, he's got open cases. We know what the offense dates are because this dates us back to the end of August.
Yeah, I don't think he can be on.
Okay, these are, all right, thanks, Christopher. All right, very good. And sir, I have an address for you on Fort Dade Avenue in Brooksville. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you lived there?
30 plus years.
Okay. Do you have a job these days?
I'm on disability.
Very good. I'm going to leave the bonds for the schedule, which is $2,000, $10,000, and $2,000 respectively. The total is $14,000. I will move these charges to the 17th of October, where your other charges are. If you get out, you should go to see your lawyer, obviously. You should also let them know about these court dates and these charges, all right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Timothy Galasso.
Anthony Galasso.
Anthony, sorry, Anthony. What's your date of birth, Anthony?
3/13/75.
All right, you're here on a warrant I signed because you failed to appear on a charge of driving on a suspended license. State, is this something he can resolve today?
Your Honor, I don't have any information about his.
It is. It's not much. It looks like he must have just failed to appear a second time, and that's why he got the big bond. It's like the sort of thing I would give him time served on.
Right. I do know that it looks like he had an adjudication for trespassing earlier this year, I think in July,
Okay.
and another driving offense in September of 2016.
Okay. All right. Anthony, you want to take time served and resolve this today, or you want a chance to talk to a lawyer?
No, I would like to resolve it today, please, Your Honor.
You understand, by entering a plea today, you give up the right to have a trial by jury, the right to confront the witnesses against you, the right to remain silent, the right to have a lawyer represent you, but you want to give up those rights so we can take care of this today?
I absolutely do, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Case number 16, CT-1982, as to the charge that you drove knowing your license was suspended or revoked. How do you wish to plead? You can plead no contest.
I plead no contest, Your
I'll
Honor.
accept that plea. I'll find it's freely and voluntarily made. I'll adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 2 days in the county jail, credit 2 days served. Your fine and court costs of $438 and your costs of incarceration, but that takes care of it, Anthony. If there's nothing else keeping you in the jail, you will be released today, all right?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Good luck.
And Your Honor, I had some kind of note about having him fingerprinted on video or something.
They've been trying, but
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm supposed to ask you.
Yeah. Sean Hager. Morning, Sean. What's your date of birth?
3/17/83, sir.
All right, Sean, we have two issues this morning. I first have a charge of defrauding a pawnbroker and dealing in stolen property. Then I have 2 counts of grand theft and a possession of a firearm by a felon. There's probable cause for all 5 charges. As to those charges, you wish to represent yourself, you can hire private counsel, or would you like the public defender?
I've already been appointed a public defender. I believe I have a court date this month. Could I combine that?
Yep, so you'd like to stay with the public defender is what you're telling me.
Yes, sir.
Very good. I'll continue the appointment of the public defender on these cases as well. State what you tell me.
Your Honor, I guess he has a pending felony, 2017 CF 1903, but I don't think that's an RCOable issue. There's a battery conviction, guilty in 2011. There's a guilty for grand theft in 2008 and a withhold for petty theft in 2007.
Okay. All right, Sean, I have an address for you on Adams Street in Spring Hill. Is that where you live?
Actually, 5224 Delbrook.
Okay. How long you been on Delbrook?
Year and a half.
Okay. All right.
On and off.
Right. On the dealing and defrauding, I'll set those at $2,000 each, and we'll move those to the 23rd of October. And then on the grand theft, the felon in possession, and the other grand theft, I'll leave those per the schedule, so that's another $14,000. But we'll move those also to the 23rd. So all your cases are on the same date with the same lawyer, all right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Jacob Hoover.
Sir.
Morning, Jacob. What's your date of birth?
8594.
Hang on 1 second. All right. And Jacob, we've got 2 issues. I've got a grand theft auto and driving on a suspended license, and it looks like you're currently on felony probation. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So I have a probable cause arrest for a felony VOP. There's probable cause for that charge as well. As to those charges, you wish to represent yourself. You're going to hire a private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll appoint the PD. Bond on the VOP is going to be no bond. That'll be back on the 31st of October on the new charges. I will leave the bonds per the schedule, which is $2,000 and $500 respectively. We'll have that back also on the 31st of October. Public defender is going to come see you at the jail before your court date, okay?
All right, thanks, sir.
Thomas Kamers. Morning, sir. What's your date of birth?
11580.
And Thomas, you're here on a warrant that was signed by Judge Toner. He found probable cause for a violation of probation. As to that charge, you wish to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
I'm the defender.
I'll appoint the PD. Bond on the warrant is no bond. I can't change that. I'll send you back to see Judge Toner on the 23rd of October. They told you 10/31. The right date is the 23rd. PD will come see you before then, okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Todd Playa. Morning, sir. What's your date of birth?
2581.
All right, Todd, you're here on a writ of bodily attachment. That means that a child support hearing officer and a circuit court judge determined that you owe some child support. They set a cash purge of $570. Is that amount of money that you have, Todd?
I paid it. I got a receipt right here. I talked to the clerk of courts, and they have it on file. I paid $800 actually.
Okay. When did you pay that?
I paid it like 2 weeks late though.
Okay, when did you pay it?
Here. The 9/1.
September 1st?
Yeah.
Okay, well, this order was signed on September 7th, and they didn't know about that payment.
Yeah, I know. I said so a month and a half passed and nothing happened, and then all of a sudden this, and I already paid it though.
Okay? Well, what I'm saying is they had a hearing, and they determined that you owed the money 6 days after you're saying you paid it.
Yeah.
Okay? Well, they wouldn't do that if you'd paid it. Are you working these days?
No.
Okay.
And when I'm not at home, no, I mean I work from my house making money, but that's it.
Okay. All right, Todd, I will find that you're not in contempt. We're going to release you today. But if I were you, I would go right to Child Support Enforcement and find out if you actually owe any money or if they got credit now for what you paid. Because if it turns out that I'm wrong and you do actually owe money, you're just going to get arrested again somewhere down the line. So you want to get this cleared up so you don't get arrested again, all right?
Yes, sir. I'll take
All
care
right,
of it.
so you'll
right
be
away.
released today. Get right over to DOR and get it figured out, all right?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bruce Reardon. Morning, Mr. Reardon. What's your date of birth?
June 13th, 1982.
All right, Bruce, you're here on a warrant signed by Judge Merritt. He found probable cause for a violation of probation. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Defender, please.
I'm going to appoint the public defender. Bond, of course, on the warrant is no bond. I can't change that. I'll send you back to see Judge Merritt on October 31st. Public defender is going to come see you before then, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Todd Rogers. Morning, sir. What's your date of birth?
2371, Your Honor.
Todd, the charge is grand theft. There's probable cause for that charge. As to the charge, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Public defender, please.
I'll appoint the public defender. State.
There's withhold for assault in 2010, and withhold for petty theft, and 2 counts petty theft in 2011. It says there's out-of-state history, but there's no adjudication showing.
Okay. Todd, I've got an address for you on Ceylon Drive in Spring Hill. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been there?
About 10 years.
All right. Do you have a job these days?
No, sir. I'm filing for disability.
I'll set you bond at $500. I'll have you back in court on the 31st of October. Make sure you go see the PD when you get out, all right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Quincy Simmons. Morning, Mr. Simmons. What's your date of birth?
12/1/92.
All right, Quincy, the charge this morning is domestic battery by strangulation. There's probable cause for the charge. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
One of the public defender.
I'll appoint the PD. State.
Guilty for possession of cannabis and unlawful use of communication device and possession of cannabis over 20 grams and sale of cannabis within 1,000 feet of a church, and there's 3 counts of that, all of those in 2010, Your Honor.
Okay. And Quincy, I have an address for you on Cleveland Ave here in Brooksville. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been there?
3 years.
All right. And Miss Ellison, she doesn't live there, does she?
No, sir.
Okay. You got a job these days, Quincy?
No, sir.
Okay. I'm going to set your bond at $2,500, Quincy. Condition of the bond, though, is that you have no contact with Miss Ellison. No contact means no contact of any kind. You don't call, you don't write, you don't email, you don't text message. You don't contact her through any social media. You don't have a third person contact her. Don't go where she lives. Don't go where she works. Don't have any contact of any kind. Any way that you might imagine contacting her, I forbid you to do that. If you have contact and we find out about it, your bond can be revoked and you can be held without bond until the charges are resolved. It means no contact even if she wants the contact. So if you answer your phone and hear her voice, you should hang up. If you're out and about and see her, you should turn around and run the other way. You need to understand that she cannot drop the charges against you. It's not a decision she gets to make. She may go to the state attorney's office and ask them to drop the charges. She may tell them she's not interested in pursuing this matter. But that decision belongs solely to the assistant state attorney handling your case. So unless that person or the judge on your case tells you the charges are dropped, you should assume they're not dropped and you should not have contact. In addition, I've got to hold you today up until 4 p.m. so that if she wanted to serve you with a civil injunction for protection against domestic violence, we'd know where to find you. If you get the civil injunction, it's doubly important that you not have contact, because in that case, not only could you get your bond revoked here, but you could get new charges for violating the injunction. I'm going to have you back in court on the 31st of October. Very important, Quincy, that you go see the PD when you get out, all right?
Okay.
Thank you. Vincent Tolbert. Morning, Mr. Tolbert. What's your date of birth?
12/30/85, young.
Charge, Vincent, is one count of battery being domestic in nature. There's probable cause for the charge. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll point the PD. State.
Your Honor, there's no Florida adjudications. There's an out-of-state history showing an arrest for trespass in 2008, but there's no disposition. I believe the victim is here, Your Honor.
Okay.
You might want to address the board.
Okay. And Tabitha Johnson, you want to come up? Raise your right hand for me, Tabitha. Solemnly swear firm, tell the truth, whole truth, none but the truth.
I do.
State your name.
Tabitha Johnson.
Tabitha, what would you like to tell me about Vincent Tolbert?
To do the non-violent non-contact so that he is able to come back to the residence.
Okay.
We told the truth yesterday about what happened, and we were unaware that by telling the truth it would end up getting him in trouble.
If
and
the cops
taking him
come
away.
to your house, somebody's getting arrested.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
he's never been in trouble before, and I'm sure it's just a one-time thing.
Okay. Are you concerned that he's going to hurt your heart
Not
in
at
any
all.
way? Anybody threaten you or coerce you to get you to come here?
Not at all.
Okay. How long have you known Vincent?
A couple years.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, Vincent, here's what we'll do. We'll set your bond at $500. Condition of the bond is that you have peaceful contact with Tabitha. That means any contact that can't be described as peaceful is not allowed. So, Tabitha, if he so much as hang on a second, if he so much as raises his voice and you called about it, then he'd probably get his bond revoked and be held without bond. If anything worse than raising his voice happens, of course, you certainly can always call 911 if you think that's necessary. Nothing will change that, okay? They'll come running just as fast as they ever would, all right? But Vincent, you can go home today if you bond out. Make sure all your contact is peaceful contact. I'm going to have you back in court on the 1st of November. Make sure you check in with the public defender before then, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Tabitha. Joshua Uloa. Morning, Joshua. What's your date of birth?
2/28/86.
All right, Joshua, the charge is violation of a domestic violence injunction. There's probable cause for the charge. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll point the PD. State.
Your Honor, there's a withhold for a battery in 2015, and there was a failure to appear in 2011. And there were some prior arrests, but no adjudications.
Okay. And Joshua, I've got an address for you on South Jackson Street in Beverly Hills. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long you been there?
I've been there 2 years.
Okay. And you got a job these days?
Yes, sir. May I say something?
Yep.
Last week I actually got contacted by my wife.
Okay, stop, Joshua, stop. Your situation right now, please know that I understand what your situation is, and it's not terribly serious, but you don't want to tell me under oath this morning that you were having contact with her, all right? Because that might make your situation worse. I'm going to set you a real reasonable bond. because I understand the situation, okay? You got it?
Thank you, sir.
All right. So, I'm sorry, you say you're working these days?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what do you do?
I'm a plasterer and stonemason.
Okay. All right, so Joshua, what I'm going to do is set a bond of $100. Condition of the bond is that you abide by that injunction. So what you need to understand about that injunction is that unless a judge or a lawyer who's working for you tells you that that injunction has expired or no longer has any effect, then you should not have contact with your wife or ex-wife, whatever she is, okay? You can't get that information from her. It has to come from somebody else, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so unless somebody like that tells you that that injunction is gone, no contact, I'm going to have you back in court on the 1st of November. Make sure you check in with the public defender before then, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Timothy Whitman. Morning, Tim. What's your date of birth?
August 16th, 1963.
Okay, Timothy, I've got a warrant for you out of Marion County, apparently, with looks like 46 charges total and a total bond of $230,000. I can't change that bond. If you were able to post that bond, you could get out of jail here and go to Marion County, find out when they want you back in court. If you can't post it, Marion County is going to be notified immediately, told they have 5 days to come get you. If you're still here in 5 days, they'll bring you back to see me, and I'll find out what the holdup is, all right?
Your Honor, this is attached to a company-to-company business transaction through a contract. It is a civil issue. It should not be a criminal issue.
Okay.
It was liquidated damages.
Okay, well, you'll have to figure that out in Marion County. All I can do is tell you about the warrant.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. And Jay Wogan.
Judge, Mr. Wogan's here on the defense motion for reduction in bail.
Is there any written motion?
Yes, Judge, but I didn't bring a copy. I just filed it.
Okay.
I have a copy here.
I have it here online. I just don't know if it's here. And before I pull it up, is there anything in the motion that I didn't hear last week?
No, sir.
Okay.
However, I guess I would like to say he does not have a lengthy criminal history. He does live here in Spring Hill, and we'd ask for a reasonable bond to be set.
Okay. And Mr. Nichols, can you tell me as a statement of charging decision here?
Your Honor, we just got the case. I looked at it and reviewed the case yesterday in preparation for this hearing. I know the petitioner is in the courtroom today and can provide testimony to the court about the incident, if appropriate.
He was here last week and told me all sorts of things, and it doesn't look like the defense has brought up anything new yet. You all haven't made a charging decision yet, right?
And Your Honor, I think maybe part of the reason for that is one of the allegations is that he had a firearm. We are looking into a 1994 adjudication for resisting an officer with violence, which would make him a felon and could potentially put him in circuit court.
Right. And that's my point is, it doesn't sound like anything has changed from when I set his bond last week, and so there wouldn't be any reason for me to change the bond. If you guys had said, yeah, we're not charging him, then of course that would make a difference. If Mr. Castillo could tell me something that I hadn't heard last week, and I heard from this gentleman last week, so I'm gonna deny the motion because there isn't any reason. I have no reason to change it. So. And sir, I'm not trying to cut you off, but there's no reason to hear from you because I'm denying the motion, okay?
Can I make a statement, Your Honor?
Nope, I don't need to hear from you.
We would like to state that it looks like the defendant was complying with the injunction.
I understand what the defense is. I'm just telling you that as far as a bond motion, that nothing is different this morning than it was last week, so I'm not going to...
And Mr. Wogan is indigent, sir. He states on his clerk.
I'm not going to grant the motion. Okay, your motion is denied. He's still on the calendar for the 1st of November. Very good. Thank you.